I want to give a shout out. So I went yesterday to watch. Okay, now it's getting dark. I'm going to turn the light on. There we go. Hey. Um, Reboot Rewind is a documentary series, and there was a special airing of the first two episodes here in Montreal yesterday. And I
For you.
for me in my private theater. Yeah, no, the people behind it. Shout out to Raquel, and so they are airing. There's going to be 8 episodes total. They aired the first two, which were each an hour long. In the it was the same place where they do the Fantasia Film Fests, so like the Concordia theater buildings. Those things sold out. It was pretty nuts. Like they did multiple cities, and like they sold out everywhere that they did. And it's just this is the reason why you've been hearing or seeing tweets about Reboot and stuff a bit more frequently now.
Is it coming back?
So they found the old D1 tapes, which was like the highest quality recordings, and then they were able to track down a machine to get those
I remember
converted.
when they were asking people for like, hey, does anybody have this machine?
Mm-hmm. And so they did eventually find a machine, and it's like again, these things are so old and just unused, and it's incredible. But like to get the best quality versions of these old tapes and and the old show, they were able to convert the whole thing. So they commenced that process, and then Mainframe officially put out like episode 1, in like the full quality version as well. And it's pretty awesome to see, like, it's like, going back, it's almost like when you go back to old film reels and you're like, yo, we can practically go to 4K with this almost, if you just convert it properly. But that was all part of the same group of people that were like just filming a documentary, talking to the creators of Reboot and getting behind the scenes on everything. And I was expecting this to kind of be like, so we got started. Here's some of the sketches. Over the years, if you've been a Reboot fan, you've kind of paid attention to some of the announcements and some of the stuff, and you've been following and seeing some of the sketches. Art books, Brendan McCarthy, the guy behind Judge Dredd, who worked on it. Like, there's some fun connections there where I've mentioned before an episode called Bad Bob, where it's Mad Max there, basically was used as the direct precursor to Fury Road, and then he went and worked on Fury Road, and that's why it became what it was.
That's such a one-to-one interaction.
Yeah.
Like, usually there's like a couple more steps, and did you know that the person who it's like, no, I remade the Mad Max episode of Reboot into Fury Road. I did it.
Yeah. It's these weird deep cuts are like they're there, and you can go see like, oh yeah, no, he directly sent the episode by Bad Bob of Reboot to George Miller, who then was like, oh shit. And then one thing became another. But anyway, so this whole process of getting those old tapes. Linus Tech Tips was who was able to help them with the conversion process. This whole story it's crazy because it starts out way earlier, before any of the like first notes we knew about. It goes into such insane detail, and it's one of those things where they set out to basically shoot a documentary, perhaps like 2 hours or so, and they ended up with like just infinite hours of interviews, infinite hours of sketches that were never uploaded anywhere, way more material, resources, and wild stories about the production of this thing than they expected. And what I was so happy about, because it was really, really incredible and interesting, like what was the emphasis on that part in my Reboot video, where I'm like, a lot of people kind of wonder when they see Reboot these days, like they go, hey, Woolie, why are you into this weird janky looking 3D thing? The walking animations are so goofy and the lighting is weird. And it's like, true, but if you compare it to its contemporary competitor,
fucking nothing,
you'll notice that the lighting is actually quite nice and sophisticated, and it really, really takes that point and emphasizes how they made a 3D show out of nothing before Toy Story came out, when no one even understood how to use CG in this way.
I remember sitting there and seeing the very first commercial for Reboot, and like my hair blew back like Thrill House. Just like, whoa.
Yep. They straight up, like, they just pioneered a style that like didn't exist. And I same thing, when I saw that I was like, I want to do that. I want to work for that company. I want to make that, whatever that is. Like, I need to know more about that. I was fucking enthralled by it on site, and that was all just coming from this like computer graphics and Silicon Graphics at the time were just these things that were like, oh, you want your fancy commercial to have like some text in space that goes, whoa,
that's crazy, dude.
that's all,
bananas.
yeah, and then using those machines to basically like slowly build a goofy looking person, and then they made the Dire Straits music video, which had like 3D characters walking around in it, and like that's kind of like where the whole thing started. So it kind of in when they kind of did, they did Money for Nothing, and then those characters showed up as cameos later on and so on. It's just crazy to see the amount of people that are like, okay, you're telling me you want to use this machine to do what? You want to take a typewriter and make a movie with it? How does that make any sense? Like, how do you? And you're like, and I need to quit my job to believe that this is actually going to happen. Are you sure this is going to happen? Are you 100% certain? For the love of God, and like at some points there were people at the early mainframe staff that were like, it was so like cheap and shoddy setup initially that they were in a hotel room just making the show, as you do, of course. And like one of the employees working at the hotel was like, oh, that looks cool, I wouldn't mind trying that out. Do you have any experience? Nah, not really, but it looks really cool. And then like went up, did an interview, and they're like, yeah, you know what, fuck it, get in. And then he went downstairs, quit, changed his clothes, and then went up to the same hotel room and then just started working. And his boss that he quit then brought him his lunch like later that day. It's like that level of just like, oh man, they scrounged to put this thing together. You
got a degree in theoretical physics, buddy? I have a theoretical degree in physics.
Yeah.
All right, that's good enough.
Good enough. And then the process of doing all that while making deals with like YTV and ABC, which is the American distributor and stuff. It took like the first 2 hours of that just went by, and like they barely got to like, okay, now we're ready to get the first episode done. It just started getting to like the airing the show part in all the setup. So if you're interested in Reboot at all, and like you want to know anything about how it was made, this is the most definitive, insanely detailed, amazing collection of just data that is important to have, literally for posterity, for the history books. Because the other thing too is like, this show was made by a bunch of old British guys, and like they like have these incredible like bits and details and stuff, but not all of them are around anymore, and there's a window of time that closes, as like this kind of show will just eventually be like, oh yeah, that one obscure thing that happened some time ago. So getting it now is pretty important, and that's what they managed to do, so huge shout out to that. And just obviously exciting and fun to, walk into a room with other people that fucking love Reboot and are in there, proper opportunity to wear the merch. Saw Levi, saw Mike Zero Dude, who haven't seen in a minute, rocking the Reboot hoodie as well. And and that was what other time than to rock that Mainframe team jacket that y'all brought down with you last time. Thank you very much for that, by the way. It was
the wife was very excited to see you wearing that jacket. She was clapping and shit.
It was a flex. I was like, oh shit. Everyone was like, yo, what the fuck, where'd you get that? Like, yeah. Got the Mainframe team jacket. It was very, very sick. So I'm
so like shocked that it fits you so perfectly.
It does. It just happens to. Yeah. It's great.
Like, cause like there's so like it was a jacket like from somebody on the staff. So like it could have been any size.
Could have been anyone.
It could have been way too small for you.
Yeah. It's anyway, it is a mystery, but that was very fun. So they're gonna start airing it on the 24th. So literally tomorrow. If you go, if you go to the Reboot Rewind Twitter, you can see like the direct links and stuff. But it's going to be on there's a YouTube channel, and it's also going to be airing on a subscription service as well. Shit, I don't have the details exactly, but
post them on social media later.
Yeah, but go check them out. 8 episodes covering the exhaustive history of Reboot, and super duper interesting if you at all love that series like I do, and you want to find out about how it was made. Yeah, Telus Optics TV and Stream Plus is where that is.